In some cities, crimes do not announce themselves. They happen, then disappear. In a city that never sleeps, the crimes began without reason. No fixed time, no repeated place, victims with no connection, and a killer with no pattern. All the evidence pointed to one person, a mysterious neighbor, disturbed, eccentric. But is everything that appears terrifying truly evil? Sometimes evil is not what we imagine, and at other times, our fears lead us to accuse the innocent, while the real killer is closer than we think, watching. The truth was not what everyone believed, but the most important question is, who is the killer? Welcome to the story of the Alexandria slasher. What are they doing? And the doorbell rings. Siham rushed to the door and opened it. I heard the sound of kisses and playful remarks. Then a young girl entered and bent down to kiss little Ashraf, who began jumping with joy, shouting, "Tati, Huwaida! Tati, Huwaida!" Adel's voice took on a sugary tone as he introduced me to her, saying, "Dr. Rafat Ismail, Miss Huwaida Abdelmonim, my wife's sister." "Your wife's sister?" And I was the one who left you both preparing for this meeting, as if I were a girl being offered as a sacrifice in a pagan temple. What devils you are! And so I sat like a defendant in the dock, depressed in the corner of the room, while Huwaida sat staring at the floor, her face flushed, playing with the child, whispering to him, and seating him on her lap. I know this kind of tenderness that women master in such situations, that exaggerated display of attention as if the whole world fades away before a child's smile. As for Adel, he was speaking enthusiastically, and Siham was praising me and praising her sister in an extremely exaggerated way, as though she were displaying merchandise and marketing a marriage deal. I was certain she knew nothing about me, except what Adel had told her, and there was nothing in that to justify such excessive praise. I felt as though I were being displayed in a slave market, and inside me there was a vague whisper saying that the girl sensed something. Does she know the truth? Surely she knows. That tedious gathering dragged on like a session of electric torture until it reached 10 in the evening. The girl stood up to leave, apologizing for being late. She shook our hands and for the first time raised her eyes toward me. Adele said, without any tact, "Unfortunately, my car is broken down, so I won't be able to drive you home, Huwaida." I looked at him in astonishment and said, "But you took me with it to Stanley 2 hours ago." He winked both his eyes repeatedly and crushed my foot with his shoe, and I finally understood what he meant, so I said to her, trying to recover, "Well, I'll drive you home, Hana." She smiled and calmly corrected, "Huwaida. My name is Huwaida." Siham hurried to bid us farewell, almost bursting with happiness, as though she were sending us off to the long-awaited marital home. She stood on the landing, waving at us with visible joy, finally reassured that the two wounded hearts had met as she had planned. Half an hour later, I returned home. Adel met me eagerly, sat before me in the living room, and asked excitedly, "What do you think?" I said coldly, puzzled, "About what?" He pursed his lips and struck one palm against the other, saying, "What a fool you are. Huwaida, of course." So I answered him honestly, "I don't know." "Didn't you talk in the car?" Not a single word. We remained silent like fish all the way to her house. He began cursing and insulting my stupidity, ignorance, and lack of manners, saying that I had embarrassed him after everything he had done for me, and that he and his wife had given me everything a mature, sensible man seeking marriage could wish for. Then he snatched the elegant tie from my neck, and I said to him, "Listen, Adele, blue is a beautiful color, and green is a beautiful color, but they never match. That's how your wife's sister and I are." "They do match. You fool. I have a pullover that combines the two colors. Then it must be very ugly." "And who said you're blue? You are red beyond anything I've ever seen in my life. And now you'll tell me she didn't appeal to you. How do you know that you weren't the one who didn't appeal to her?" I said while unbuttoning my shirt collar, I never claimed anything, and I never asked to put myself or anyone else to any test. I swear to you, I wouldn't be able to recognize her among 4 girls her age, and I don't even know whether she's beautiful or ugly. He shook his finger in my face warningly. "Siham and I will stop looking out for your best interest." That's exactly what I hope for. At that moment, the telephone rang. He picked up the receiver and began listening, grunting, uttering short phrases indicating that he had not expected this, that he was astonished, and that he was coming immediately. Then he put the receiver down and stood rigid for a moment, thinking about the content of the call he had received. Fortunately, he forgot everything about marrying me off. An accident? Worse, a disaster. Then he hurriedly put on his suit jacket and stood up, urging me to follow him, for there was something he wanted to show me. He tossed the tie at me, telling me to put it back on, and informed his wife that we were going out and might be late. We got into his car and drove through the streets of Alexandria, which were beginning to empty of pedestrians at this hour. Rain had started pouring over the roads and against the windshield of the car, whose headlights carved a path through the darkness. We began entering narrower, less clean streets, and the car's movement grew less free. I do not know Alexandria well, but I believe we were somewhere in Manshea. He was silent as a grave, smoking greedily, which only increased my sense of the gravity of what we were heading toward. At the corner of the street, I saw a strange scene, as if it were a scene from a colored motion picture. An ambulance was parked there, its rooftop lights spinning, sending out beams like fiery spheres circling those standing nearby. Raindrops poured over the indifferent heads. 3 police cars were parked, and beside one of them stood an officer holding a microphone and a wireless device, speaking to some authority. While the policemen stood lined up, blocking the road with their bodies, there were flashlights flickering nonstop, and dozens of people whose roles I did not know. Adele stepped out of the car, squared his shoulders, and pushed through the line of soldiers, who were struck with great alarm when they saw him, immediately snapping into confused military salutes. Adele had changed within mere seconds. He transformed into an imposing leader, stern-faced and sharp-featured, completely forgetting my presence. I could hardly believe that this intimidating man was the same old friend I had been joking with just half an hour ago. I followed him into the heart of the crowd and saw something covered with a sheet stained with fresh blood. I heard a well-dressed young man standing beside it say, as he pointed toward it, "Around 9 o'clock. Sir, the same circumstances." The same circumstances? What does that mean? Then I noticed 2 policemen leading a simply dressed man to where we stood, and one of them said in a firm, military tone, "The cafe owner, sir." Adele turned to him and asked harshly, "What was he wearing?" Answer: the cafe owner said, trembling, and I do not blame him for that in the slightest. He was thin, sir, and his complexion was a very strange yellow. He was wearing a black suit and carrying a bag. He drank strong tea, then paid the bill, and disappeared into the alley. There was a wound on his cheek. Adele lit another cigarette and said without looking at anyone, "Fingerprints?" A voice I could not see its owner replied, "As usual, sir." He was wearing gloves. Adele then issued some instructions to the forensic team and made his way through the rows of policemen, heading out, while I hurried after him like a frightened hen. Sharply, he opened his car door and reached for the lock button to unlock it for me. I said, relaxing into the seat beside him in a joking tone more suited to a YouTube video scene. Even Adel Pasha doesn't feel safe about his car. In the middle of all this security cordon, he still doesn't forget to lock the door. But he made no comment, nor did he laugh. He turned on the wipers to clear the raindrops sliding down the window, then started the engine, and the car moved off, cutting its way through the wet city streets. He was completely distracted, which made me keep silent out of respect for his state. After a few moments, he said in a low voice, his eyes fixed on the dark road, "What we saw just now was the 5th episode in a series of strange murders I had hinted to you about before. Each time, the same thing happens. The body of a beggar or a passerby is found in a dark alley or a forgotten lane, completely mutilated, limbs severed, large chunks of flesh missing, as if someone had patiently torn them away, exactly as a butcher does with a hanging carcass." I said in horror, "How dreadful," he replied, lighting his 10th cigarette in that short span of time. And always the same story. A thin man, with a strangely colored complexion, carrying a bag, seen by someone moments before the crime. Then he vanishes completely afterward. Only once did witnesses say he got into a blue car, but no one saw him get into it again after that. I asked him tensely, "And does he have any connection to the victims?" He gave a faint smile and said, It's hard to imagine any connection linking those poor wretches. They did not steal secret documents, nor get involved with gangs, nor block anyone's path. Then I looked at him and finally asked, is there any timeline or specific pattern to these crimes? You're talking about cases like the Tuesday thief or the blonde killer or something like that? Unfortunately, there is always a specific mental pattern by which any self-respecting killer operates. Except for this one. He kills anyone, on any day, in any place, at any hour of the day. Randomness is the foundation of his vile work, and it is what makes any plan to set a trap for him completely futile. I asked him, in a tone suitable for a YouTube video, then what is the point of the media blackout you are enforcing? He replied calmly, exhaling cigarette smoke. Publishing what I told you would cause public panic in Alexandria, and it would not benefit his future victims because they are beggars or homeless people, meaning they are completely removed from the influence of newspapers or radio. Quite simply, they would learn nothing. Then he suddenly turned to me and asked, do you know why I told you this story, Rafat? I said with sincere stupidity, friendship, of course. He burst out laughing, a harsh, confident laugh, then said coldly, you are the one who will lead me to this killer. There is no friendship in work, my dear doctor. Haven't you yet understood the meaning of what you heard and saw? And now, Rita. I think I have gone on too long describing an event that does not concern you much. And if you wish to draw anything from all that I have said in this long letter of mine, 7 pages, then you may reassure my mother about me and tell her that I have seen a not bad bride, but that I am still hesitant. That is all. As for why I told you all this, it is because I was on the verge of bursting. I needed to unload what I had seen onto the chest of anyone who would listen to me. As for what Adele told me after that, it is a secret I cannot reveal, even to you. Wish me good luck, and write to me at my address in Egypt if you find the time. Thank you, and goodbye. Your brother, Rafat. There are still secrets that haven't been revealed, and characters that haven't appeared yet, and a greater truth hidden in what's to come. Each episode brings us one step closer, but every step reveals that the road is longer than we thought. Don't judge yet, and don't think the picture is complete. It's still continuing, and the next episode will open a new door, one we may not be able to close. In the next episode, we will uncover a new part of the mystery, another side of the truth, and characters that have yet to appear. Until we meet again, remember, the ending is not always what we expect.